Hi, today I want to speak about 7 quick ways how you can improve your animal portraits. Before we start, I invite you to download my free PDF. It's a PDF for beginners. If you're thinking about drawing realistic animal portraits with pastels, this will be helpful for you. Then now, let's dive in. The first tip is to use a good reference photo. The choice of the reference photo influences really your result. Choose sharp, detailed reference photos. The sharper, the better. And make sure that the resolution is high so that you can print the photo out and enlarge it on your screen, on your laptop, or on your tablet or mobile phone. Details such as eyes, fur and hair should be really clear, visible. So have a look to that photos here below. On the right side, the photo is very blurry. You cannot see hairs, you cannot see details. And on the left side, you have a dog photo where you really see highlights, shadows, details, hairs, and it is very sharp and clear, and you have it easier to draw. Also, another tip, the animal should not have any flash eyes. So here, like on the left side, the photo was taken inside with a flash, and then you have so white dots on the eyes and you cannot see the pupil. It's better to take the photo outside in the sunlight or in any, so somewhere not in direct sunlight, but outside, outdoors, and then you have beautiful light reflections with sky and clouds in the eye, and this looks much more natural. Also, make sure that you make the photos from the right angle. The animal should be photographed from the right angle, not from above, but at eye level. So go down on your knees and make photos at eye level, not from above downwards like you see here. On the left side, it looks funny on a photo, but then the proportions are distorted. You have very narrow chests and very small, thin legs and paws. So it's better to go down on the knees. And also the photo should not be taken with a wide angle, because that creates very unrealistic proportions, which then looks very funny on the portraits, like especially when you are drawing horses. When you take a photo like on the left here with a mobile phone and go really close to the horse, you have a very long nose and a very narrow chest, and this does not look natural. It's better to go more far away and make a photo maybe with a mirror reflex camera and not with a wide angle. Then you have correct proportions. And also the photo should not be too dark, so it should not be photographed in the shadow. Best photographed outdoors. You should be able to see a lot of light reflections in the eyes and on the fur. The photo on the left is very dark and you don't see any eyes here, only black holes, black stains, and no details in the fur. Better is to use here the photo on the right with nice reflections on it. You can brighten them up in Photoshop or another photo editing program and bring in more highlights, like here on the right. Here it is very dark. When you increase the lightness, then you see a bit more. Maybe then you are able to see the outlines of the eye a bit better. This is another tip. And you also can, for example, if you have a very blurry photo of your dog that does not live anymore, that passed away, and there are only bad blurry photos available, or you are doing commissions and then the client wants to have drawn this beautiful picture. It's the favorite picture and you should draw it. A tip, you can then search in the internet for similar breed photos, for example of this Rottweiler here, and search. These two photos are photos that I have searched. They look a bit similar and you can then not take them as reference photos, of course. I would take the outlines here of that photo and then take some more details in the fur out of this one and highlights and so on. Or here you also see more hairs and details. Then you have it easier to draw. The next tip, another way to improve your portraits is to choose a good section to draw. Not only draw the reference photo like you have it, you can also crop the images and choose a good section that is crucial for your final result. For example, here we have a photo of the entire German Shepherd here. There are no legs on the photo. I would choose here a portrait, the head, and then turn it a little bit rightwards, and this is then a nice portrait here with a bit of this turned head. Or you choose, like here, there are the legs on the photo, but not the paws, and so we cannot draw the entire dog. I would then choose here a cutout like here in the middle, draw a little bit of the body here, but focus on the head, and then it's that portrait that I have drawn. You can also draw the portrait over the edges of the paper, and that looks good. If you are drawing horses, I would always add neck and chest, not the legs. Only the neck looks weird in my opinion, so I always add a bit of the chest and a bit of the body. And these short legs, I always remove them. I don't draw them. They also look strange in my opinion on a drawing. Most of the time I leave also the halters away when they are not very beautiful. So then I've drawn this horse from this reference photo of the entire horse. I've chosen this cutout here, and I have drawn this portrait. Here, sometimes when you draw commissions, for example, you get a photo like this with a blanket and dark eyes. You have a blanket here and very dark eyes with no light reflections. And then I have left here out the blanket and replaced it with a chest and lightened the eyes a bit. I have also left out the halter, so I have added here some details and light reflections in the eyes. I have not drawn the halter and also not drawn the blanket. Instead, I have drawn here a chest, and here I have left the legs out, and also I did not draw the halter on the right horse here. Another tip is also to use the right drawing surface. If you want to have a good, satisfying result, you can't avoid investing in high quality materials. I really highly recommend that, and a good paper is really the key. For example, a paper that I love to use and can highly recommend is Pastel Mat from Clairefontaine. This paper is specially developed for pastel painting. It allows many layers. It is acid-free, light-fast, and resistant to aging. And you can imagine it is like it has little valleys and mountains. And with each layer you draw, you fill in pigment, pastel pigment into that spaces between the mountains and the valleys, and you draw layer by layer, and at some point then this space is filled up with pastel pigment, and then your paper is saturated. And on pastel mat paper this works really very long, and you can draw many layers. Another paper I can recommend is Pastel Card from Sennelier. It is a bit rougher, not so velvety like the Pastel Mat, but I have used it for over 15 years. It has beautiful colors, different browns, greens, grays. It's also a special pastel paper. It allows many layers. It's also acid-free, light fast, and aging resistant. And then another tip, make sure that your proportions are correct. So it is very important that you make the sketch with correct proportions and draw the outlines really accurate. And to do that, there are different methods. You can draw it freehand. There is a grid method or draw helping lines. You can use tracing paper, and you also can use projectors. And there are also apps available now how you can with what you can draw with them outlines. First, if you would like to train your eyes, you can do it freehand. This is good from time to time, but for larger portraits, I would suggest to use another method. This I recommend for drawing eyes and experimenting, testing, drawing smaller focus drawings. And then I can recommend to use helping lines. This is a technique I currently use. I place some helping lines, for example, around the eyes, that I have a better orientation. You can also use a grid with squares and then draw the outlines. You can use tracing paper. The subject is traced onto the paper without measuring. You can just draw over the outlines then with a graphite pencil and put placing paper between your drawing paper and the printout. Or you use projectors, like a good alternative. If you have the budget available, they cost a bit more, but in any case, they are very time saving and are also working well. And then the next way to improve your portraits is to draw in layers and blend well. So what are layers? The special pastel paper allows us to draw many layers on top of each other. You can, as said before, imagine that you fill in with each layer you draw pigment into that mountains and valleys. And with each layer you draw comes pastel pigment on the paper, and then more and more the spaces between the valleys and mountains are filled with pastel pigment. When these spaces are full, the paper is saturated and you can't draw any more layers over it. Then your colors start to smear and smudge, and highlights or white lines are not showing up anymore. You have a bad feeling. So I suggest to draw in thin layers and draw many of them. For drawing realistic animal portraits, it's really necessary to build up the portrait in many layers. So go over and over it again. This is the fascinating thing about these layers and make it possible to draw realistic fur. The more layers you build, the more lifelike and satisfying your results will be. Use most time less pressure is another tip. I always speak about pressure in my portraits. To achieve fine fur and details, it is helpful and necessary to draw the hairs, the lines with a very light hand and use very low pressure. I teach that my students in my drawing lessons in Animal Art Club all the time. For example, use a dough and modeling clay and then test it out. The first stroke is the pressure I use, and then I press more and more and more here. This is all too much pressure. This one is the best. That there is no indent here, and so I draw in my portraits. And then the seventh way or seventh tip to improve your portraits, it is very important to practice be patient and believe in yourself. So practice patience and believe in yourself is the key. It is so important to be patient and not to rush. Take your time you need, and it is important to approach the work with patience and not to stop too early. Believe in your own abilities, and you know, drawing realistic animal portraits takes several hours. It takes some time, so be patient. The longer you take, the more patient you are, and the more you trust yourself, the more beautiful the portrait will be in the end. So don't rush. A tip, if you feel stuck, better to take a break and continue to draw the next day, go out for a walk or do something else, and then come back with fresh energy, and then you will be much more happy to draw. Also, drawing can be like a meditation. What I like is to listen to music, to calm music, or listen to a podcast or something I really want to hear, and draw first stroke by stroke. This is also helpful. Then let's briefly summarize what is important for your complete animal portraits. My 7 ways how you can improve your portraits. Use a good reference photo, choose a good section to draw, use the right drawing surface, make sure that your proportions are correct, draw in layers and blend well, use most time less pressure, practice patience, and believe in yourself. Okay, so I hope these 7 ways help you and you have received some tips how to improve your animal portraits. If you are wondering how to start, if you are a beginner and want more tips and tricks for your start, download my free beginner's guide. You find the link below in the description. Ask me any questions you have below in the comments, and then I hope I see you in the next video. Bye!